As you will have seen from the titles, I've got a set of boots, or burners, or kickers, or linears, or whatever you want to call them. I'd always call them a burner, or boots, yeah. I've got these on here. Now, there's a bit of history to these, and to be honest with you, I'd forgotten that I had them until I was moving some stuff, and I came across them, a bit of my installation tape on there. Could do with that later. Anyway, yeah, there's a bit of history to these. When I was about 13, I was still obviously living with my parents. I got myself a job delivering papers. And I was delivering 192 copies of a paper in the Maidstone area that was called the Ad Scene. If I can find a copy of what it looked like, I'll put one up on the screen, but I'm not sure whether I can or not. And anyway, I sort of did the road that I lived in, and there was 192 papers to be delivered, and I was getting, wait for it, 1 pence for every paper that I delivered. So I pushed 192 papers potentially through people's doors, and I got £1.92. What the hell was I thinking? But at the time, it was a good income of money. Jesus Christ, slave labour or what? Who would do a delivery and deliver 192 papers for £1.92? I must have been mad. But anyway, I did it. And it was probably, I don't know, only the second or the third week that I'd been delivering. And there was a block of flats. And the block of flats were on, I think it was 3 or 4 levels. And what I did is when I walked in through the doors, then you was greeted with the flight of steps that went up and the flats went off either side. Well, there was other newspapers that were being delivered, and what the paper boys or girls were doing there was they were leaving them at the bottom of the stairs in a pile, and I think there was like 12 flats, so they left 12 papers at the bottom of the stairs, and then obviously people who were going up or down could pick one up if they wanted one. So I thought, well, there's no point, I'm not walking all up and down the stairs doing it, so I'll do the same thing. So I left a pile of 12 ad scenes and went on my way. Following week, did the same thing. The week after, the woman who used to drop the papers round to me with the bag pulled me one side and said, oh, we've had a complaint. A woman in the block of flats says that you haven't been putting them through the doors, you've been dumping them at the bottom of the stairs and going off. And I said, well, that's what everyone else is doing. And then they can pick one. No, you've got to put it through the door. So I was like, yeah, okay. So anyway, I got to the bottom of the stairs again, and everyone else had just been dumping their papers. So I thought, oh, I'll do the same. I can't be asked to walk up and down these stairs. So anyway, I did the same. Well, the following week, the woman turned up as normal, and I thought, oh, yeah, here's my paper. She said, oh, I've got to take you to one side. She said, you're no longer required. You've been fired. And I'm like, what? You've been fired. She said, the woman... I can't remember what name she said her name was now. It was some foreign-sounding name. Had complained again, so they'd had no choice but to get rid of me. And to be honest with you, for £1.92, yeah, it wasn't such a bad thing, but I was gutted at the time. However, because I've been getting £1.92, one of my mates was flogging this for a tenner. So I eked out my 4 weeks, and I managed to get practically a tenner. Borrowed a bit off my dad, and I went down the road to my mate's house, and I brought this. And I thought I was king of the block, because I had a 25 watt burner. And yeah, it worked, and I did used to get out, obviously caused a bit of TVI, and then caused a bit more TVI when I put these on. But I thought, you know, I've got a 25 watt burner, I'm going to get out for miles. Oh, it's good to be young and naive, isn't it? However, I moved on to the Bremmy, which you've seen featured, and a few other little mobile things. And I didn't even realise I still had this. I chucked it in a box, and then I moved out my parents' house, and I moved in with my ex. And then I went to clear out the ex's place recently, and I come across this. And it was there in a box. And I thought, Jesus, I didn't even realise I'd still had that. And my mate who I brought it off, he sadly passed away. So there's a good bit of nostalgia in this little unit. And I thought, when I saw it, I thought, I'm going to try and get this going. If I can get it going, I'm going to stick it in the motor And I'm going to run 25 watts when I'm out and about. Just for nostalgia's sake, and just to see if this thing works. And to be honest with you, I can't even remember when it was working when I put it away. I might have blown it up for all I know. So, I think to get in it, it looks like there's 2 screws here. It's in a bit of a dusty condition. Oh, don't tell me what. Oh, it's a polystyrene chip. So let me go and get a screwdriver, and we'll undo these 2 screws either side and see whether this comes apart. I've never ever been in one of these. To be honest with you, I seem to remember there was 2 screws or something here that you had to tune, but as you can see, it was pretty well used after I'd finished with it. I think that said AM, FM and sideband, and that was obviously Bremmy and the logo. I can't remember what was on here. I think it was tune and load, maybe like a valve one, but I don't know. We'll have to look up on the internet. But right, let's get a screwdriver. And I dedicate this video to the woman who couldn't be asked to pick up a paper and walk up a flight of steps to her house. This one's for you, love. I've got one of the screws out, this one. I'm just going to do this one. Open it out together. Oh, it does come apart. Well, there's a capacitor in there. Probably wants changing. Oh, there's 3 capacitors in there. Apart from that, to be honest with you, that doesn't actually look that bad. So there's two little diagonal screws here and here, which obviously take the board out. But just out of interest, let's quickly plug it in. So that's got to be positive. That's negative. God, these are long old connections. What we got to do? Plug in the thing. Right. Hang on. Right, that's that in. Let's get you positioned. Oh, you've fallen over again. Oh, I'll have to hold you there. Right, I'm going to flick this on and we'll see if the little LED comes on. No, it doesn't. Maybe that only came on when you transmitted. Oh, I can't remember now, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's probably just when you transmit. So let me go and get a radio and we'll connect it to, oh, it's 25 watt in it. Yeah, 7 to 9 amp should work. We'll connect it all up and we'll just blip it and see if the light comes on. Right, so I've got the little Midland 7709515 here. That's wired into the burner. And then the burner is then wired into the SWR meter, which is set to 100 watts. So let's give this mother a key and see what we get. Yes. Oh my God. Right, let's set you up. Right, there's the scale. Look what happens when I key up. It's doing. Well, it reckons about 23 watts. How cool is that? I wonder if we can get any more out of it. I don't really want to move it. Let's see what happens if we have a little fiddle. Jesus, I can't even get in there. Right, we're in. God, blimey, that don't even move. Oh, there we go. Well, that's gone to maximum. God, these are frozen. Right, I'm going to back this down a bit because that went up to 30 watts. Right, we'll go to 25. Nice. The only thing I have noticed is that little LED there. It's not working, so we've definitely blown the LED. So we'll take the board out quickly now and we'll replace that. And I'll have a look at the caps as well. Although if it's working, why do I want to replace the caps? No, let's just do the LED. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to get this board out. Oh, I bet the board's soldered to something here as well. Cool. That hasn't been undone in a few years. Well, maybe it's never been undone. I can't even recall going inside this thing. Oh, Jesus. Right, that's that one. Oh, it's got bolts the other side, so it's on a standoff. Right, let me do the other one down there and I'll be back. So it appears these are the two antenna parts coming through and they've got a little bit of wire above them. This one running this way, I've got to desolder here. But the board, I don't know whether this middle screw holds it or not. I'm going to desolder these two first, then see if we can get the board out. So I've managed to get them both off, but the board still won't come out. So I'm going to have to take this middle thing out here, see whether the board then plops out. So there's some sort of final on the back here, which did have a load of heat paste on it, and then you've got to try and thread this wire through to get the board out. So let me finish feeding the wire through here and then we'll have a look. I am so glad I took this apart. I'm going to show you some pictures of here and here, and these are up on the screen now. And what you can see, the first picture is the track is completely broken for quite some way underneath that light coil. And then in the next picture you can see the track's lifted and it's broken there. So I'm surprised it was transmitting. So what I've got to do now is put some legs of a capacitor in there carefully, making sure it doesn't touch the outer case. I'll re-bridge those tracks, but all that transmitting I did years ago obviously took a toll. Now going back to the board, this is where the LED is, so we can definitely get after that. But yeah, very interesting. Right. Yeah, definitely. So we need 2 47 microfarads and three 47 microfarads, and these are 16 volt. We'll see if we can get some higher rated ones. So as you can see on the screen, that's the LED that I took out. Yeah, we've definitely done a good number and made that black, haven't I? Right, so I'm going to IPA the board, clean up where those two are, and then I'm going to start running some tack wires along here, because that bit of track there and there going all the way along there are just going to go. So I'm going to have to almost put like a whole metal track in from that component there all the way along to here. So yeah, it's almost like make your own track time. When I brushed the board with the IPA, the track broke. So you can see it's even taken off the top now, it's just bare copper. I'm going to see if I can tack a bit of solder across there, because that may actually help. Same thing happened when I IPA'd up this end of the board. The track's broken here in the middle, but I've got a lovely long stretch here. Try and get some solder on, and then if I push the remainder of the leg that I cut, which is here, and fit that along there, that should go in there really nicely. Right, let me get it all tinned up. So if we do a quick continuity check on what I've soldered, so from there to the other side here, good, down to here, LED, and right round to here. So everything's good. Not the prettiest repair, but it's in and all the tracks strengthened. And maybe why the LED wasn't working, maybe that was one bit broken on there, I don't know. I'll get the LED in and we'll find out. So the new LED's in, fits nicely into the hole. What I have noticed, if you look down there, those capacitors, the actual top of the capacitor, in theory, is touching the top of this metal plate, which isn't at all a good thing. So I'll have to put a bit of insulation tape or something in there. But I've got to get these out now. I've been down to stores and I haven't got any 47 microfarad capacitors, so I'll have to order 3 now. So I'm going to continue on doing a bit more work now off camera. I've got to go online and find these. While I'm doing that, I'm going to give the body of the unit a bit of a clean up, because you can see the state of it in here. It's like dust and crud and God knows what down inside here. And same with this as well. We'll give this a bit of a polish up. There is a bit dirt on here. I'll probably end up taking the rest of this off of here. I don't think it's going to stay on there, but hey ho. So I'll see you in the next clip once the capacitors have arrived. The date stamp on the screen there, you can see above the diode, 26/3/81. So March 1981, this linear was made. So it's had its birthday this year already.